what is the most important kernel version? Some of you might say 0.01, the first publicly available version. Some of you might say the adoption of any sort of source control, or maybe the swap between Bitkeeper and Git. Maybe you'll say the start or the end of the 2.6 saga, or maybe even the first version after Linus Torvalds returned back to the kernel. All of these points, and I'm sure a whole bunch of others, absolutely qualify. But what if I suggested a slightly newer version? A version that just came out a couple of days ago. Now, for those of you who keep up with Linux news, you're probably thinking, I haven't seen anybody talking about this, I haven't seen anything on the mailing list or any of these Linux news websites, so what in the world could possibly be happening that's that exciting? Well, the release itself isn't really that exciting. What's exciting is the very special version number being used. From the legend Greg Crower-Hartman, I'm announcing the release of the 6.6.6 kernel. All users of the 6.6 kernel series must upgrade, and right now, that is exactly what I'm running. Now, I and a bunch of other people hoping for at least some sort of acknowledgement of the funny devil number kernel. It's the 6.6.6 kernel. It's the kernel of the beast. There are so many fun little jokes you can have with this. Just, it doesn't have to be a complete joke release. Like, obviously, it's the kernel. You still want to be at least somewhat serious of a project. But have you seen how the kernel releases are named? So right now, this is the name of the kernel. Herder, I'm a ninja sloth. We have the 6.6.6 kernel. Nobody ever sees the name. Surely, Greg, we could have had something here. Just a little acknowledgement. Call it FreeBSD. I don't care what you call it. Just something to be like, hey guys, we know it's the funny kernel number. We think it's funny as well. This is the one time in the entire kernel history when you get to have the 6.6.6 release, and you completely blew it. Now, I think there might be a reason why nobody really cared about doing it. There was a pretty big regression with the 6.6.5 release. And this is the entire commit list. Revert, Wi-Fi, CFG 802.11 fixed CQM for non-range use, and Linux 6.6.6, which it says is a 2-line change in the make file, but what it actually is just updating the version number from 5 to 6. So it's realistically a single line change. The actual only real commit is this one here, which was a pretty big deal to be reverted. Now, this commit isn't some ancient commit that everybody forgot about that's been silently causing issues in the background for years, that had to be bisected and was just a giant nightmare to track down. This is a commit from the prior kernel release, first included in 6.6.5 RC1. This is a patch set of 134 patches, and the patch in particular was by Johannesburg from Intel. Now, when there is a patch set review like this, each of the individual patches is shown as a separate email. It's like this, so if someone has comments on one of these patches, maybe it doesn't work, maybe they want to make some sort of addition to it, they can easily go and do so. And on our specific patch here, there is a couple of replies. After upgrading the 6.6.5, I noticed that my laptop would hang on shutdown and bisected that problem to this patch. Reverting it makes the problem go away. More specifically, Network Manager and WPA supplicant processes are hung. This can also be triggered by systemctl stop network manager.service, which does not complete and brings these two processes into a state of interruptible sleep. I also tried 6.1 and mainline and could reproduce the hang in 6.1.66, but not in the 6.7 RC4, so maybe some patch from Linus's tree needs to be applied to the stable branches. The problem is when this comment came out. This came out on December 9th. This is using the same time zone, and 6.6.5 released the day before. Now, luckily we have these things called rolling releases, specifically in this case, Arch and its downstream Manjaro. So this problem was noticed fairly quickly. This is by Philip Mueller, the guy that runs Manjaro. Hi Johannes, hi Greg. Any tree that backported this commit we looked at before and does not contain this other commit, which doesn't actually apply cleanly to the tree anyway, will be affected. You can find a downstream bug report at Arch Linux. So we should either revert that commit we saw, or backport the other needed patch to that kernel series. 6.7.y is reported to work with 6.7.0 RC4. On that kernel, it was not a problem. So this is the Arch Linux bug report. WL module under Linux 6.6.5 causes IWD to deadlock. Using the Broadcom WL module with Linux 6.6.5 Arch 1 from testing causes IWD to deadlock when trying to associate with an access point using a BCM 4360 wireless card on an old MacBook Air early 2015. Eventually, other processes deadlocked, including the system manager, rendering the system inoperable. The breaking change was introduced between 6.6.4 and 6.6.5. Unfortunately, the deadlock does not reveal anything in the system journal or in dmessage. So, with the affected Wi-Fi cards, which were actually a lot of them and were fairly common cards, if you are running this kernel, basically your system would just completely lock up trying to use Wi-Fi, which is a problem. There were also reports about this over on the Manjaro forums, Wi-Fi not working and system freezes after 2023.12.10 stable update, and over on the framework forums, kernel regression, Wi-Fi related hangs, fails to suspend with kernel 6.6.5 fixed in 6.6.6. I have no idea why anybody reports kernel issues over on the framework forums. Like, what are the framework devs going to go and do about this? I guess it's a place where you can, like, discuss things, but it's not like framework even directly supports Linux. It's just they don't actively stop it. Like, they don't have a official Linux guide for the framework unless something has changed since I last checked. After all of this went down and a whole bunch of other posts, Greg got back to Philip with a fairly simple reply. Yeah, this looks bad. That's one way to put it. I'll just go revert this for now and push out a new release with the fix as lots of people are hitting it. Now, there is a separate commit that should address this problem, that being this one right here, specifically made to fix this broken commit, the one we've been looking at, on the 6.6.x series. This has been tested by a bunch of Manjaro users now, so maybe it would possibly be fine to merge. There is a slight problem though. That fix was not CC'd to any of the Wi-Fi developers and would need a lot of review before I feel comfortable accepting it, as I said in the response to that message. So the best solution for now is don't touch it. Instead, we have a broken commit. Just delete it. Don't even think about the problem. Just get rid of the commit, fix the problem, get a release out, and we'll do something better a little later. Because clearly it was fine before, and maybe this commit is fixing something very important. But breaking Wi-Fi is not more important than fixing the problem. This revert was also made to the LTS kernel that was affected as well. So if you were having the problem on LTS, if you're a Wi-Fi user, make sure you go and update and don't keep using the broken kernel. If you don't use Wi-Fi, you probably should still update, but you don't need to. But the problem with all this is we lose out on the funny devil number kernel. Greg, why didn't you just give it a dumb name for the memes? Why not? Why did you ruin my fun? Now, the reason why I actually care about this is a post I made on Twitter a couple of months ago. So, you may have seen this one. If Linux 6.6.6 isn't named Kernel of the Beast, I'm quitting Linux and switching to FreeBSD. So, I guess we know what time it is then. I guess this is now going to be a FreeBSD channel. That's obviously a joke. FreeBSD is cringe, I like video games. I'm sure I'm going to get some fun comments for that one. This was a dumb little video. There was nothing of value learnt here, unless you happen to be on 6.6.5 and had some Wi-Fi issues. In which case, make sure you upgrade to the devil kernel. Greg, don't ruin my fun in the future. What are you doing? Let me just have some fun here. Anyway, if you liked the video for some reason, go like the video. And if you really liked the video and you want to become one of these amazing people over here, check out the Patreon, subscribe to the Brodie, linked in the description down below. That's going to be it for me, and I'm sure there'll be more funny numbers in the future.
something like this.